Question of the day. What is your favorite out-of-the-box style thinking game? You know, maybe a three-dimensional game, a game that involves building upwards and outwards. Because today we're looking at two things. Today we're looking at a game called Control, which is a plastic 3D building game, but we're also looking at the Elegoo Neptune 2 printer. This is a 3D printer. It's an FDM style printer. And why I bring that up is because you can do some amazing things with this printer when it comes to enhancing your gaming. Now, we've done this before with the resin style print. This time we're going to be looking at a couple practical things around, including this right here. You can probably barely see it, but hanging here is my Oculus Quest, hanging on something I 3D printed on this printer. So just little things like that. If you can think it, you can make it, and you can do it. I have a Thor helmet right there that was 3D printed. It's Thor Ragnarok, right? But it's also hanging on a helmet hanger that was 3D printed. So many little things. If you can think it, you can make it happen, especially when it comes to gaming, whether it be bits and tokens and things, or my favorite, organizers, paint holders. If you're a painter, the Citadel paint holders and stuff. But we're going to be talking about it on this, to showing you some of my favorite prints and things that you can do with this, whether it be a WandaVision things we're going to show you in a minute. But we're going to talk about Control first, then we're going to come back and talk about the Elegoo Neptune, and then we're going to rock and roll. So this is Control. That's right. It looks like a toy. It looks like a Rubik's Cube that's been popped apart. But Control is a puzzly game in which you're tactically putting out these different cubes into this puzzle. Now, the only side you won't use is the bottom right here, but you're gonna do everything else. You'll then put, let's just say on your turn, everybody will place theirs. Let's just say we've placed, everybody's placed in a 3-player game right here. You'll then place 1, 2, 3 adjacent to one of yours already. So let's say we're blue. So we want to go 1, there's there on the flat. 2, well now here's the deal. You don't build straight up. Imagine there's gravity. So this is a good example of gravity. You will get sucked into the next spot, which would be here, not straight up, which would be so 1, 2, 3. So you're building in a line with gravity connecting you here. Now, sometimes that will involve things like where you're going to hop over someone else's. So let's just say pink is building here, and they're going in a straight line that way. They might go 1, 2, and then back down. So you will involve some hopping and things like that. Now what that does is effectively, now look, from here you can see the blue, but here, which is what matters, the straight on shot, you can't see it. So what happens is you're gonna keep doing this, and you'll use your flag to mark off where you went that round, and a flag will essentially block off some spaces too, and it can go any direction except straight down. But at the end of the game, once everybody's placed, you're going to score. And the way scoring works is you're going to look at the 5 sides, not the bottom, it's 6 normally, but you're going to look at the 5 sides and count every visible cube from that side. So blue gets 1, 2, 3 points, pink gets 1, 2, green gets 1, and yellow gets 1. Flip to here, blue gets 1, 2, pink gets 1, 2, yellow and blue get 1 apiece. Same here, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 1. So it's pretty straightforward. I love it. I love how that works as far as the scoring. Now, there are a few finicky things about this as far as the rules itself, about how you hop and all sorts of things like that. There's some placement things, but that is how you play Control. Very straightforward, very simple. So that's Control. I like the concept. I like the idea of what's happening here. I like the idea that building around, you're not building straight up, you're making sure to follow in a line and go around. I like the way this looks. First of all, let me knock it. I have to agree with everybody who said this before. I thought maybe they're crazy, maybe they're just not doing it right. I don't like the flags. They don't stick in there good. A revamp, a new edition where the flags held better would make it so much easier, because we played this with younger people who obviously are gonna maybe be a little bit more bombastic. Maybe not your kids. Maybe your kids are playing Scythe at 6. I know, I see you on Facebook lying about that. I'm joking, you're probably telling the truth. But anyway, the point is this. You have to be careful with those flags, because they'll knock around, and they're kind of pivotal and important in the game because you're blocking other people off. Well, if you knock it off, you're like, no, I had it this direction. Well, nobody remembers, and you could be changing your mind, you know? So the flags, I don't like how they fall around. I do like the idea of how this works. So you're building 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to check each side, and whoever has, you score points based on your side. I think that's one of the best scoring systems I've ever seen for a 3D game, especially. Look at this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have 4. Cool, let's look at this side. That to me is smart. It really plays off the actual different planes of this toy, which it really is a toy type game. I think it really does. Scoring in this is my favorite thing about it, is how it scores. Now, The rules are a little tricky and knacky about, well, does this one go on top of this one, or does it wrap around, or can I even place it here? That's my one thing I'm going to knock it for, is it's really difficult. Besides the flags, it's really difficult sometimes to know, is this an approved or allowed move, or is this something that's going to wrap up and over, and does it hop up once? What if it hops up once? Can it hop up again to the next one? So it's really tricky on finding that out and making sure that you're consistent with the rules. So just know that ahead of time. Now, at the end of the day, it's a good, solid three-dimensional game. I'm not going to recommend that you rush out and buy it immediately, but if you see it on sale, 100% go get this. This is a fun game night game because it does something different, where it's got that eye appeal where you walk past the table and you see it. So check it out for that. Is it the greatest three-dimensional game on the planet? No, there are others. In fact, we reviewed Holly this year. I really enjoyed it a lot. So make sure you check this out if you're into, puzzles and logic and planar type puzzles and things like that. For that matter, it's cool. Plus, it looks good on the table. This is one of those ones that's really cool looking as a toy itself. So that is Control. You can check that out. It's all over the place, mass market and game stores. Now, let's move over to the Elegoo Neptune. I love this machine. It's, first of all, consistent. One, it looks good. First thing I'm going to knock it though, it is a little harder to put together than the other machines that I have. It takes a little bit of time. You got to make sure that you're putting those bands in there correctly and folding them in the right way to where your X's and Y axes and Z axes move correctly. It's got a little bit of a learning curve there. So just know putting it together is not the easiest thing in the world. And there are tons of videos that show you how to put these things together, but the rule book is actually really good. You really will learn how to do it from the rule book. So I didn't do a time lapse of that. I didn't do a time lapse of printing because to me, you can see any 3D printer time lapse and you're looking at what that person's printing with their settings. So it's not helpful for you. What I can say is this is the most consistent FDM printer I've ever seen of the ones that I have. Now I don't have these big $4,000 machines. I have some different FDM ones that are very nice for the mass market, but they're you can get them. They're names you're familiar with, so whether it be Anycubic or anything like that. This one is a more consistent machine out of the box that I've ever seen. First print was fantastic. It worked instantly. Second print, perfect. I have had almost zero issues with printing failures. And if I do, it's usually something a little too thin with some support issues. That's a support problem. That's a software problem, not a machine problem. The stop and start is really good. The actual feeding and stuff. The only other issue I have with it is the bed size is a little small, but for the price, it doesn't matter. It's such a good price for this machine. Now, what can you do with it? Well, the beautiful thing is you can do anything with this. You say, but how do I do those big full-size helmet prints on a smaller bed like that? Well, you can chop them up and glue them together with some epoxy, and once you sand them, it doesn't matter. They're gone. You think for all those lines are gone. You're thinking as far as game mechanics. What if it doesn't fit like a full game organizer? You slice that up and you epoxy it together and it will hold like it's brand new. I'm looking at the Thor helmet over there and at the WandaVision stuff. Some great stuff out of the printer immediately. Consistent. If I go hit print on that machine, and there's not a power failure, obviously, because Lord knows that could jack up anything. If I go hit print, I'm going to come back at the end of that and it will have printed correctly. There's no issues, there's no worrying, there's no layer shifting or anything like that. It's my favorite FDM printer that I've seen out of the market, out of the box. Even though the detractors are, it's harder to put together and it has a slightly smaller bed than the other ones that I have. I love this machine. I will always use this machine, and I highly recommend if you're looking for an FDM printer to get into, you go check out this one. You can get them available right now, but they are amazing machines. The Elegoo Neptune 2. Go get it. Go print your stuff, get your games going, and let me know in the comments below some things that you've printed to see how it stacks up, whether it be something practical or game-wise or whatever it is. Just let me know in the comments below. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Brian. Until next time, we'll see you.